All right, beautiful people, welcome back to Free Game. Sorry for the long hiatuses, but essentially we're getting our things back together. So we got the new permanent co-host. We got Rocc in the building.
What's up?
The
What's
Rocc.
up? What's up? What's up?
And we got Chris Cudger. Did I pronounce that right? Cudger?
Cudger.
Sorry about that, man.
It's all good.
The owner of Level Up Financial Consultants. Just kind of here to talk business, talk finance, talk spirituality, talk whatever we talk, right? It's free game.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely.
Free game.
So the point of Free Game is it's free, unrestricted game, life information, but wherever it goes, let it go. Just kind of start off. How did you end up getting into the financial industry and finance?
Finance industry, I kind of got thrown into it. I was always dealing with money, growing up in the streets of Atlanta, so knew money that way. Came from a, church family, so my mom was like, hey, you really, really got to learn, go to school, do this, do that. So in school, never was really good at math or anything like that. Crazy thing, I got laid off from, not MCI, Sprint PCS. And I was recruited from Sprint PCS to MCI Enron and started in the mailroom.
Like Enron?
Yeah.
So you were there, but that's wild.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask more questions about that.
Most definitely. So started working there and started in the mailroom, went from the mailroom into finance and actually got into insurance. And once I got into insurance, started learning about it and how different funds work and things like that, and just started moving up in the company. But got tired of it, wanted to push my own thing, so started doing my own thing in finance with teaching myself credit repair, leveraging credit, things of that sort. So once I started learning and saw how it changed my life financially, I started teaching others.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I actually used to be a high school history teacher. I don't know if you know this, but I have 4 insurance offices now. They give me another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Congrats. I know about the last one.
Yeah, thank you. So I have 4 insurance offices now, but I became a teacher because I felt like I didn't learn shit about money, and I wanted to teach it, and then I realized you can't teach money in school. Like, you have to teach the curriculum, so I left.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
What? But I gotta ask, what was it like being in Enron? Did you know that like dirty shit was going on?
Not like that.
Okay.
Not like that. I wasn't at the level and privy to the information that was going on, but it was like that day we got there, man. It was a helicopter landed, and it was in Alpharetta, the office right up here. A helicopter landed, and they came with like boxes with envelopes in it and stuff like that, and they were like, yeah, we're laying y'all off.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But the crazy thing before, like the week before, you're not getting any calls coming in and stuff like that, and everybody just sitting around there like, hey, well, I like this, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, it was quiet before the storm.
Yeah, I said, this don't feel right. I said, in order for calls and stuff to stop coming to our center, somebody has to hit something in the switchboard to redirect those calls. I said, so, but okay, maybe it'll be better tomorrow, a week like that. And then that's when they landed the helicopter and they laid all of us off, man. But I ended up getting recruited from MCI directly to AIG, Charters Insurance, which was some other BS that they had going on.
Yeah.
Same thing where they changed the names of the companies. But in that, just learning the different departments in finance and just seeing how rich and wealthy people move. And I'm like, yo, I need to be able to do this for my family. And so a lot of it, when you're in it, a lot of people are not going to give you certain information. So you got to seek a lot of this information on your own. So, at the time, the level of awareness I had, I didn't have what I had now. So it was just taking information and, just trial and error, trying this. And then when I came into credit repair, that's when I just took off running with it, and just trying to do finances for myself, providing myself with an income instead of working for somebody. And I love it.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to, for the listeners that aren't sure, and you're going to probably know more than I will on this. This sounds like early 2000 stuff, right?
Yeah, early 2000 stuff, yeah.
Enron was like one of the biggest scandals, like 2001-ish.
Yeah.
It was, they were cooking the books and all this other stuff.
And all this stuff, yeah.
It's almost like Boiler Room.
No,
it is.
It is Boiler Room.
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
exactly
And when I teach my agents, one of the first things I have them do is I have them watch like Boiler Room or Wolf of Wall Street, but I prefer Boiler Room. And I tell them, forget the ethics, just take the mindset and the approach, and then use the ethics we teach them, and you can have the best of both worlds. Yeah. Because like they were obviously killers at sales and all the other stuff. So like there's a lesson, right?
Yeah. In the sales part.
Yeah. So I'm sure that was actually helpful.
Most definitely.
Outside of the ethics of what they were doing.
And that's what when you gave both of those movies and you said Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler, that would be a better one than Wolf of Wall Street. But when, like you said, when you a lot of things that we see as information, you chew up the meat, spit out the bones, right? So in watching the movie, when you looked at just his approach to sales and just his mindset, he sat at the table and he already knew he had the person sold before the person came on the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that's my reality, then that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And the caller just came into my world, which is my reality.
Exactly.
Therefore, what I say manifests. So when you look at it like that, man, like that's a real good point in that movie. Is it just his whole approach?
Right.
His whole approach.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's literally all mindset. Obviously,
All mindset.
Those of you that aren't going to be seeing this on camera, it looks like moldavite and maybe amethyst.
Definitely moldavite and amethyst. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So obviously, I already kind of have an idea. Plus, I know he's friends with Rocc. That I know he's in spirituality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But moldavite, and correct me if I'm wrong again. I got my Labradorite and my other. I'm obviously a big fan of
Moldavite.
the power in the earth and the stones.
The asteroid. It's one of the most powerful manifestation stones.
I was going to say it's supposed to be the most powerful.
Yes.
Like even more than gold.
Even more than gold. With moldavite, though, it's a stone you have to get used to. It's not something you can just pick up and say, "Hey, I'm going to wear this." You know, like even with holding it in your hand, you can feel the energy from the stone. But for like a piece this size, you know, number one, moldavite $100. Well, no, this one was $1,200.
Okay.
But moldavite, the bigger, like it's getting a lot more expensive now. But then you have a lot of fake moldavite out there as well.
Right.
So you just got to go to a reputable place. I got this one from the Open Mind Center here in Roswell.
I was going to ask you
from Roswell. Yeah.
I had a piece and then I lost it. And the lady that sold it to me, who I would basically go to for all my stones, basically what Chris is saying is super true for those that get into stones. You got to find a reputable person. Yeah. Because they'll rip you off.
Yeah.
But moldavite, what she told me was like, you got to be careful with this because you're bringing about your future faster. And it's not always good.
Good.
Carmen got dizzy.
Yeah.
And see, with this one, I would hold it in my hand for like 30 minutes, and then I would get dizzy. Then the next day I will hold it, and I can hold it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But it took time to be able to actually wear it. And now I put it on, and I don't take it off.
And then amethyst would be almost a balance with that.
Yeah.
Amethyst like helps with like headaches and like transmutes negative into positive. If I'm correct.
Transmutation. Yeah.
That's like mental alchemy for anybody listening. We're already jumping right into it, boys and girls.
Yeah.
I told you.
We're gonna get right into it.
I told you.
So I guess that's a good bridgeway into like how does spirituality play a role in money and business now, and what are you doing now that you're on your own?
All right, so spirituality for me is big, especially when money is going to come from clients, and I feel like we're held accountable for every way that we sow, whether we sowing through our time, through what we say, through our money. You're held accountable for where those words fall. You're held accountable for that money you gave to that person. We're all held accountable for what it's going to produce. Everything is seed sowing, correct? So, when you're speaking, like with me, all money is not good money. So therefore, I want to attract the right clients.
Speak on it.
So therefore, I have a list of the clients that I want to attract. I know what clients I dealt with in the past. And when you're dealing with finance, you meet an array of people trying to do an array of colorful things.
That was smooth. I give it to you.
Yeah.
That was smooth. Yeah.
And so in that, you want to attract the right client. And attracting the right client, I feel like when you're in that frequency, if we're attracting, then I might as well attract, the right opportunities as well. So if I have the right opportunities and in finance, and if I have the right clients, then when an opportunity comes about, it's always lucrative. If I've attracted a client that I know I've already done his profile, and he sees that 830 or 850 credit score, and he sees his trade account working his way up to $1 million, he's not a person that's going to be like, hey, I'm jumping ship. I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to go ahead and just party it. No, he has discipline. He has mental and spiritual discipline to like, no, this is growing. So let me just let this sit, But when you're dealing with those clients, that as soon as most clients, they see they scored a 700, they're going to get a house, they're going to get a car, or they see that credit card offer that pops up, they're going to go ahead and take it and run with it. So my thing with spirituality, I take time, 3 times a day, 4:44 in the morning, 11:44 midday, and 11:44 at night. Pray, meditate, consult the universe, and specifically for the clients that I want to attract. Those clients, for me, attracting the right client sets me up for the perfect funnel to fund the future that I plan on doing as the philanthropist, as the light worker that I'm trying to be.
Now, is 444, is that related to like Shango, like Orisha?
Well, no, well that's based off the angel numbers.
Okay.
444, hard work,
Right.
determination. So so in that was just a time frame that I chose to get up and start praying and meditating. But one thing I noticed with studying wealthy people, I heard them talking about the 3 o'clock news, and I'm like, they do news at 3 a.m. And this was back in the day, and it's like, no, well, now they do news 24/7. But I would hear Oprah talking about the news, and I'm hearing all these people that's talking about the news, and it's like, if you're asleep at 3 o'clock, then people have already made a decision on your well-being in your life. So what I started to notice that most successful people are up at 3 o'clock. So
Jesus,
if I plan,
man, I
if I
thought 5
plan
o'clock was
to,
good.
Yeah, I'm like,
if I plan to be up, and if I'm planning to be successful, then let me follow the same rituals that they're following, because we all know the rituals we follow in private, we're rewarded what in public.
100%.
Right.
So let me take on if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you get a haircut, right?
Right.
So if I'm hanging around rich people, I'm hanging around wealthy, I'm hanging around this finance stuff, and I know I come from a poor family. I come from a DC6 neighborhood, drugs, prostitution, murder. I
Right.
come from that. Then let me study the habits of these people that have kind of figured something out different if I want to present different to my kids.
It's beautiful.
Success leaves
And
clues.
see,
Yeah.
exactly. And the thing about it, like we have to understand.
What hours do you sleep?
He doesn't sleep, man. He's like a vampire.
Do you nap?
Nah, I do
He's
nap.
like
I'm a huge napper.
He's like a
I do
vampire.
nap. But for if I
was
get
thinking
2.5 hours, 3 hours of sleep, I'm good.
See?
Dude, I was literally just thinking I'm gonna start getting up at 5 again, and now I'm like, I'm lazy. Fuck. Like I was really like you know what? Like I gotta be at 6 again. I'm because I said ayahuasca, so my diet got I dropped weight. I unfortunately, I'll get to that later, but my energy level in the first week sucked, and I was super lethargic, and it was almost like a withdrawal from like all the unhealthy shit you constantly put in your body. But usually I'm not consistent as I should be by far. But whenever I am consistent, like I need less sleep, but I'm a napper. Like I take a couple naps midday, a little 26-minute nap, and then I'm like, all right, good, ready to go.
I'm the exact opposite, man. You give me 6.5 hours, I'm good. You give me 5 hours, you got a 3-year-old on your hand.
Yeah. It's weird. Everybody's different. Like every body is different.
I think right, and I think it depends on where we are. I think it really depends on where we are, because you could go through certain things in life, and your sleep doesn't matter. You know,
if you're super excited and you're going for a goal, or something like that.
If you have a goal set, or you went through some type of traumatic experience and you did a quantum leap in your healing, and now you really see your purpose, you're like, what about sleep?
So for those that might not understand, please explain quantum leap, because that's a great term.
Okay, so a quantum leap. So in certain situations when you're going through your spiritual journey, our goal when we're talking about. Not to go too deep. We're talking about affecting people.
You can't go too deep on the show.
Okay, so we can't go. So
let's get the shovel out and start there.
Okay, so when we're talking about,
but just explain the terms.
The microcosm and the macrocosm. All right. So let's just say we take it as if like this right here, or let's say a rug. All right. And when you're talking about the macro is the whole rug, right? And the micro is us as individuals. So when you're looking at how close things are on a rug, if I do anything to hurt the fiber that's next to me, I'm tearing down the whole rug, right? So when we look at things, we want to make sure we're always putting good out. So when we're speaking about the macro and the micro, we are the micro and everything else is the macro, right? All right, so we want to make sure that everything that we say and everything we put out into the universe is all good, because we have to eat the fruit of the seeds that we sow, right? So if we always depositing good, then that fruit that we're eating is what is good. If we always deposit negativity, then we eat negative fruit, right?
So this is something I battle with myself internally all the time. And this kind of came up in my ayahuasca trip, right? Like, I've come to terms with the fact that as much light as I want to be, I have to embrace my shadow side. And there's like a lion in me that sometimes I'm going to fucking kill somebody.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I am.
Gotta forget
But I have to be the best bad guy I can be when I'm a bad guy.
Exactly.
Would you agree with that?
No,
100% agree.
And I think that's where
it's like 90% of the time be good, and then like 10% of the time you gotta like keep that gangster in you.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's big when we're talking about finance. Anybody in the finance industry, you can't think that they got there by being a nice guy.
You can be a good guy.
By being a good guy. You know,
Yeah,
because the thing about it, I don't know if you guys watch this show. It's on Peacock, Yellowstone,
no, but I
No.
hear great things all the time.
with Kevin Costner.
I hear great things all the
Oh
time.
my God, yo! If you haven't watched the show, you got to watch
That's
the show.
one of them? Yellowstone.
Yeah, it's just about building family wealth. They were one of the richest family, one of the top families like in the U.S. They had over 300 and some thousand acres in Montana. And everybody kept trying to come at them to take the land. So many different big corporations, but it's just teaching you, like, when you're building, you have to be prepared to battle. You could be you're like right now in everything that you're doing, whether you're building your podcast, you're building your family. What we don't understand, we live in a world that has good and evil, and as you build, there are still other powers that might see you building, increasing in your home. They might see your cars increasing. They see your clothing changing. They see you got a big podcast. They see you got this, and they're like, okay, well, okay, somebody's always coming to try to take what you have. There's always a chance. So in that, even though you're building, even though we're spiritual, that small percentage of that dark side is there for a reason, because you would have to tap into that in order to defend what you have built.
I like that. There for a reason. It almost, by defending it, you almost level up again. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
God's favorite angel, Michael, was a killer.
Right.
And Peter.
Right.
And Peter.
And
Peter.
Peter's quick with the sword.
Exactly. And when you see the example of Peter was to the point where, in order for God to stop him, he had to blind him and knock him down in the road. He was just such a fighter. He was just so aggressive, though. So in that, you're supposed to have that in you. But I think as we go on this, when we start our healing journey, it's the part of unlearn and relearn. And especially the stuff that you learn in church with good and bad, and then you think you're not supposed to have no bad in you whatsoever, no darkness in you whatsoever.
Right.
But that was put there for a reason.
You ever see? Have you guys ever seen Black is King?
No.
Black is King.
It's
I've never seen
Beyonce and Jay-Z made it. Maybe just Beyonce made it. I'm assuming Jay-Z helped. It's like a almost Orisha or Ifa take on The Lion King. It's so symbolic and powerful, and one of my favorite parts in the whole thing, I absolutely love it. One of my favorite parts in the whole thing is The Mood Forever, which is like one of my favorite songs. We came out to that like at the wedding. Right, like lyrically, obviously those two are just brilliant, but there's this really dope part where like at the end of the song, the boy is walking, like Jay-Z's almost like, it's like a thing they made for their son, basically like to guide him through life, through the future. But he's walking on like a chessboard, and Jay-Z, if he ever sees this, forgive me if I paraphrase this wrong, but like, he would probably be my favorite interview maybe ever. But like, the boy's walking, and he goes, like, as you grow in life, you're gonna see the swing between good and evil, or light and dark, if you will. And it's not a fight the way people present it to you. It's more of a conversation when you learn how to do it. And I always thought that was so powerful. It was like the two heads of each, they're not really even fighting each other. Like, all right, cool, so you got the power right now, I'll take it back tomorrow. Like, there has to be a balance here.
It has to be a balance.
And I thought that was such like a interesting and powerful way to think of it.
But I think when we think about that, when you're talking about the duality, we're so caught up on that this is good and this is evil, when good and evil both understand that it has to be balanced regardless.
That's what they're talking about. It's like two sides of the same coin.
So it's like faith and fear.
Faith and fear.
Because fear is just faith in a bad outcome.
Exactly.
Yeah, that normally never happens.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. That was good. All right. So obviously spirituality play a big role.
A big role. Spirituality. We ought to. I feel like we ought to seek source.
Come closer to that, Mike. Please.
We ought to seek source for everything, right? So in seeking source for everything, you seek out the best possible outcome for everything, right? If that's what we're going for the best possible outcome. So in seeking source, he's going to give you the right clients. The right clients, you're going to have the right opportunities. You're going to attract exactly what you're supposed to attract to you in seeking him first, instead of going out doing it on your own and then have to seek source for guidance for what you've already called in. It's about. I feel like it's about with healing. It's about being strategic as we learn. And in being strategic, it's like, okay, if these are the mistakes that I've made, I'm learning from this. Then how can we do this just a little bit better? And in doing it just a little bit better, let's seek source first before we go out here and do something that we got to seek source to come and redo it for us anyway. You feel me?
Yeah. So
I like the way you put it when you were talking about you were going out to ask the universe what to do. I think about Mike Burke, who was on here. Mike says a thing during his sound therapy sessions. He said if you think of the universe as one song, unit being one, verse being song, and then you're just tuning your frequency into that song.
Yeah.
Right.
making sure it's harmonious with the movement around you,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that you're not messing up the whole puzzle piece of creation.
Yeah.
And then I think it's before we turned the mics on, you were saying that your background, or maybe it was with the mics on, your background comes from a Christian background.
Yes. I grew up in the church. My dad was a bishop for Church of God in Christ. My mom was a missionary. I was in church every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And you're normally at church all day, every day. You know, grew up in the Christian church. You know, I was in the choir, played drums, I sung. You know, ran the film ministry. Like I was my pastor's armor bearer. I was armor bearer for some of the biggest pastors here in Georgia. I played drums for some of the biggest pastors here in Georgia. So, like being in church, like I came up the Christian way, you know. And one thing that was crazy that opened my eyes up to spirituality. It wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. I think it was a Hebrew Israelite. Was on a train with my brother, and they got to talking about spirituality and stuff like that. And so he came home with my brother, and you know, my dad being a bishop, he came in. He was like, "Well, I'm gonna talk to your dad."
How old was your brother this time?
My brother, Mike was like, I was in ninth grade, so he had to be. I think he was a freshman in college. So this dude comes home with my brother. And so they're sitting at the dinner table. And
Was your brother older or younger?
Older.
Okay, so you're still in high school.
Still in high school. So they're sitting at the table, and what actually opened my eyes up to it, he was asking my dad questions, you know, about the Bible and stuff, and it was certain things that my dad couldn't answer. You know. And
Do you remember what some of the questions were?
I don't remember all of them.
Yeah.
I know my brother does though. And so with the different questions he was asking, it made me go back and start, you know, doing different research. And then after doing research and then learning my, you know, the chakras and spirituality, it opened my eyes up to something on a whole nother level.
Billy Carson in the making.
Nice.
On a whole nother level. And so after, like, you know, going through some of the things that I went through, man, like now knowing Source as my source,
Right.
now knowing and how to tap into the God-like energy inside me, you know, it teaches you, you know, you are a God having a human experience. And the quicker you understand that and believe that, it's one thing to understand it, but it's another thing to actually believe in it and walk in it 100%.
Right. Feel that emotion now.
It's just like, take something as simple as this. As men, we walk different when we know we got money.
Yeah.
A man walks different when his money is right, you know? So it's just something about money that gives him the faith in himself to say, like, yeah, this is the person that I'm portraying.
Because money, you can get a deal done no matter what.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But money helps you truly. I feel like that money is just simply a tool
to let
help
you be exactly who you are.
Exactly who you are. All
If
right?
you're an asshole, you're more of an asshole.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So let's just say to do some inner work and go back to the Creator and understand how and why you were created. So if something happened to your Tesla, you would take it back to the manufacturer, right? So we go back to the Creator of
come
us.
on, man, that was nice.
And now the Creator of us is showing us what
Yeah.
He's saying. No, hold on, no, you're not fearful. You don't lack. You're not lazy. You're not this. You're not that. That's not what I put in you. That wasn't the purpose you were created for. But let me show you everything I put in you.
That's you leading you.
So now that I'm going over the different things that's in me, that I'm strong, that I'm positive, that I'm relentless, you know, that I'm well versed in several different skills. Now that I know that's me, it takes me to believe enough in me to know that no matter what deal I put on the table, I walk it out. No matter what credit profile comes before me, I'll get it clean. No matter what person that comes that's broken and hurt, I'll help heal them. I'll show them to the light. We have to believe enough in us, because it's what's been put in us. That's what the manufacturer put in you. Tesla gonna do what it do all day. That Tesla Plaid is gonna do what it's supposed to do on paper all day, because that's what the manufacturer put in it. So I feel like when we go in on our spirituality and we learn what's in us, now you can walk just like that money in your pocket, making you walk with all that confidence. You don't need the money. The money is now simply after effects.
Why do you think I recently got invited, and I hope I don't get kicked out, but I recently got invited to a Bible study on Friday mornings, right? And I am what I am. I'm a very strong believer, but I'm also a different type of believer.
Man, I love Luke. I love Luke, man.
I was pretty sure today I was going to get kicked out. They were like, what'd you do this weekend? I was like, oh, an ayahuasca journey. And they were like, what kind of demonic shit is that? And I was like,
exactly. What?
I was like, well, it's not. I feel closer to God than any of you, and God speaks with me and doesn't speak with you. So like, maybe you guys should open up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, why do you think? And again, like, and they're good people. They weren't at all trying to be dicks. They weren't at all trying to be judgy. I mean, not judgy in like an. Everybody has a level of judgment, right?
Yeah,
So
not a I'm better than you sense is what you.
Yeah, it was just more like, hey, Luke, you gotta be careful. And I was like, are you comparing a 10-year-old's experience with the Ouija board to me explaining to you I've been working on my own meditation for 15 years and did ayahuasca, like with a shaman? Right. Like, come on, guys. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I was
exactly.
like, all right, but cool, we'll entertain this. And again, in their defense, they stood their ground, and I don't think it's bad, so I stood mine. But like, what I've noticed is and I come from a Christian background, so my spirituality is Christian foundation, and then my pyramid goes up with my own. I go to source through within, right? And then I love to use plants, which I think is the most natural. It's like Earth's little, it's Earth's GPS.
Exactly.
Hey, you want to get to God? This is GPS.
This is it. Yeah.
Like, I've been here a bunch of times. I still got to use GPS. Like, it is what it is. Why do you think, in particular, the Christian religion has such a pushback to people feeling that they can go straight to source? And even the term source offends them.
This can of worms is about to crack open.
It's a very big one.
And for anybody listening, like, it's not a disrespectful thing. It's just I genuinely, like, it's kind of what I was asking. I was like, why does this offend? Like, I think I'm closer to God.
It's several different ways you can approach that. Like, even if you approach it simply from a financial standpoint, if I tell you exactly how to get to source, if I start teaching you the truth,
a control,
then therefore, if I teach you that the 10% that I tell you have to give, it literally is simply the 10% of your time, your money. It could be 10% of anything. It does not have to be money,
which is your currency.
Which is your currency. So if I start to teach you the truth, then that means something happens to the hierarchy that I have over me and my finances. If I really, really start teaching you the truth where you don't necessarily have, like, the church is in you, it's in you.
It's a lack of control.
Yeah.
They feel like that you won't need the church.
A lot of money, especially
line.
in the black and minority community. So I know you guys know Dr. Umar, like Dr. Umar Johnson, black philosopher. So Dr. Umar Johnson talks about, when you're building communities, right? And he was like, in the black community, we build our communities around the church. Well, the problem is
which is a good foundation. Right? Like, I'm actually pro-church.
Yeah.
It's just kind of.
The problem in that is the church doesn't give back enough to the black community to sustain it on a financial level. Okay, when you take and you look, like, let's say you say you've been in Alpharetta when it was just like horse community, right? Like,
right.
So I was out here when it was just like two roads,
Mike said
two lanes, going down 400, right? So when they had the little dirt road between the two lanes and 400, like, it wasn't really anything out here. But on exit 11, it was the bank. And when you paid attention, they built the community around the bank and the school systems. And once you get one thing about the bank is always doing things to give back to the community. Even if you don't see it, the bank is always giving back. So when you talk about the black church and why Christianity has such a huge pushback, that's one thing. Number two, you're talking about a religion that has been pushed, poured, and to a certain extent, like, forced on a lot of people.
I would say more than a
No,
certain
it's not
extent.
even a certain extent. Yeah. People
like
getting
forced.
killed for translating it.
Like forced on people.
Literally.
And so
they're burning people alive when they thought the earth was round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I get so frustrated. They're like, well, the church didn't do it. I'm like, all of history.
Yeah. And so in it now.
Doesn't mean it's bad, but like, come on.
And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like, so in it now, you're pushing your beliefs. Now, just as gung-ho as everybody is about the Christian religion, understand the Muslims are the same about theirs.
Right.
Buddhists are the same
they're
about
like
theirs.
where the Christians were about 500 years ago.
Yeah.
I would say the Muslim religion almost they used to be in Muslim religion, the Islamic religion, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, when the Christians were in the Dark Ages was when they were in their golden age. And now they've almost flipped.
Reversed.
And it's almost like I mean, is what it is. We look kind of evidence, right? The
Yeah.
Muslim religion is almost like in their dark age, like less educated.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those countries have the highest illiteracy rates in the world.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was 2011 when I was in grad school. I remember Afghanistan had the lowest literacy rate in the entire world.
Really?
So what happens is they all are very spiritual people, but they have to go to, I don't know what the pastor's name is, the Muslim.
The leader or who? Yeah.
They have to go to him for information.
But you know what though, man? That's like one of the premises of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were brought in, so they didn't allow them to read.
Control.
You know why? Yeah, it's control.
It's
Control is
control,
one
yeah.
thing, but it's another thing too, though. Even when you go through your chakra systems, if you begin reading, that begins giving you hope, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get hope, you start thinking outside of where you singularly are,
yeah.
like your third eye
Opens up
decalcifies
and like,
you're
hey,
able to
you
understand
know,
what's happening.
it starts here. You
begin
look like,
speaking
hey,
the truth, and then so the construct of the church or the finances of the church begin to drop down because you're no longer dependent on them.
Yeah.
You're like, I respect you for the piece that worked for me. However, now I'm connected.
Right, and to me, that's the true living of the scripture, right? So, like, this is where I often get in I don't want to say arguments, but disagreements with
He's
the
growing.
church.
He's growing.
Dude, I'm trying so much to calm down. Like, like I used to be a hothead. So, Jesus, I am the way, I am the path. Only way to salvation is through me, right? So, oftentimes people in church will be like, "No, you have to go to church. Look at that line." And I'm like, how does "I am the way, the path" mean go to church? Jesus didn't go to church. Like, show me one fucking time they went to church and hung out. Like, the time he goes, he flips the table and he's like causing a scene. It was like, you guys are all hypocrites.
Yeah, the incongruencies
And I was
are
like,
ridiculous.
if anything, he was walking the streets with his boys, being good to people.
with the disciples.
So I am the way is not a thought, it's an action. So I'm supposed to basically be good to people. And again, the ayahuasca journey in me was like, don't be so heavenly that you're useless here on earth. Stay super grounded. Stay super grounded that like you're
write that down.
that like I'm going to basically lead my people through the mud, more or less, right? Like it wasn't like what I wanted, but it was still good, right?
Yeah.
But to me, like that was my biggest thing. I was like, all right, so you guys are simplifying and saying like praying to Jesus is the way to go to heaven. Like I'm the way. That means action. That's like taking steps, right? And so that's where I get like these again disagreements, I would say, with people, and it's not against the book or Jesus. It's against the church, I guess, as a political group.
Right.
I keep trying to say it's not the church, but it is.
If you say as a political group, I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
But I mean, people take. I feel like translation is all about a level of comprehension, and people comprehend it differently.
That's a really
Everybody
accurate way to
comprehends
put
it
it.
differently.
It's a really accurate way to put it.
That's just like I could take the Bible and show people, how amazing Jesus is and why they should follow him. But that's just like a person that's a KKK can take the Bible and show you why they should do what they do.
Right.
Correct.
So it's a level of comprehension. I don't know if you guys seen the Book of Eli, the movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's
There's a scene in that movie where the guy was like, you got us out here and you got guys that can't read that's looking for some book. He says, not just some book. He said, if you aim it at the hearts of man, you can control them for nations and years to come. You can enslave a man's mind for years to come. So you got to understand how powerful that is. And I think we take it for granted every day when we rush our kids off and do this in church and that, and we're not necessarily being accountable. It's the same thing that our parents taught us. And now, once you start to be awakened by certain things, it's about the person's level of awareness now. So I guarantee you certain things have happened before that tried to get your attention before your awakening, but it was all about your level of awareness.
I used to be way more egotistical. I used to have a strong ego, which honestly helped me get to where I'm at in business.
That's what Chris was just talking about.
Yeah.
But like, it's at a certain level, right? Like, all right, cool, you got there. Now lower yourself.
Yeah.
Which was another big part of my journey.
But see that. But now, when you talk about lowering yourself, that's actually a level up because you decided to let ego die.
Yeah, it was.
And once ego,
it was a death.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I'm telling you, I can remember the exact time where ego took the biggest stab, and it was actually
It's
after.
painful.
Yeah, it is.
I laughed at mine though.
Yeah,
which was the reason why I got my blessings.
And see, that's how. But I sat back, I laughed at it, and I was just like, okay, what I thought mattered didn't matter. The only thing mattered is healing. So in order to do that, you're gonna have to kill your ego, bro. But in killing the ego, I learned how to love myself.
Go back to the Bible. He who gives his life gains it.
Gains it, yeah, yeah. And then then even in that, in giving your life, when you give your life, now you've agreed to just follow source, and that's the main thing.
Right.
Once ego dies, it's about completely letting go. Completely letting go. We want control. We want to know when it's gonna come, how it's gonna come, where it's gonna come from. No, just flow.
I was reading phenomenal book. It's called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, who wrote 40 Laws of Power and stuff. And it's the second or third last chapter, and it's talking about like seizing the moment of the times. And he's talking about, I can't remember, Danton, something Danton, huge, one of basically the leader, not necessarily as known, but like the leader of like the French Revolution. And you know, he was offered a position on the king's court, and he was like, "You guys don't understand. The river's moving. You guys have to realize it move with the river, and that's life. That's following source, right? It's like you could try to swim upstream, and if you're a good enough swimmer, you could do it. My God, you're wasting energy.
Wasting a lot of energy.
Versus just going with the stream, and that's how I think of like life. It's interesting, and then actually that ties back in when you said money with currency. That got me thinking.
Exactly.
Basically, one of my friends, Antonio, he was actually on here once, although we ended up I think taking the episode off, but. He was saying that what's interesting about money is all of the terms of money, you probably know better than I would, but it's all money, it's all water references. They're banks, currency.
Oh,
Currency,
wow. Yeah.
Everything. There was like three other things, but it was all water references, and it was because it's supposed to flow back and forth. It's supposed to go in and out.
Currency is supposed to flow. Money is currency is supposed to flow. When you hold it in your hand tight, nothing is coming out of your hand, but nothing is coming in it either.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to learn to not necessarily spend money recklessly, but I think with life we get so caught up in, okay, this has to be paid, that has to be paid. Well, I'm not going to do that, because if you're doing that, you're not living in the moment. And if you're doing that, then currency is not flowing for you.
Right.
So, but the fact of how you plan your day out, and how, if bills is your Goliath every morning you wake up, then you're not allowing money to do what it does, and you're going against what it was created to do, which was flow.
Man, I just had a Bruce Lee moment. You know, Bruce Lee always talks about you got to be like water.
Water,
Right? If it goes in the glass, take the shape of the glass. It can either flow, make you feel good, or it can crash. Right? So you're just talking about. When you wake up and you see that Goliath of the bills every day, right? It's just a matter of how you're using your currency, right? And what's going on. So basically what you're saying is how you spend your time and on what you pay attention to, your current will flow.
Your current will flow.
In that way. But you talked about loving yourself. When you spend your time and pay attention to loving yourself, we were talking about this when we walked in. Matter of fact, I got this from Mike Burke.
Dude, he's so cool.
And basically what he said was, like, coming from your solar plexus chakra to your heart chakra, until you've generated and sustained self-love, you can neither receive nor give unconditional love. And the unconditional love is what he's talking about, to be able to hold the responsibility of what it is you're blessing.
Your blessing is, what you're blessing the earth with.
Which makes you far more powerful than you ever could be with an ego or anger or whatever.
Exactly.
And then what I would add on top of that metaphor, which I think is super accurate, is really thoughtful, would be summer showers are way more fruitful than hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
So being consistent with it, I basically more or less stole it from Zig Ziglar. He wasn't talking about money necessarily, but when you were just talking about that, it made me think of that, because by always being open and just doing a little bit constantly, you can grow the plants much better than one, surge, downpour, and then nothing, and then that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what Chris we were talking about in the truck. Yeah. Chris was saying it's not everybody's season for everything.
It ain't. And it's and the key is knowing when it is, but being able to be joyful for those whose season it is. And I think, like I was talking to my daughter. My daughter gave me a call. She was like, "Dad, I need your help. Just for my mental health. Like, I need your help." And I'm like, "Okay, what's the problem?" And she was like, "Well, I'm just seeing how people are being blessed and people are getting this and getting that." And she was like, and it's just I'm not understanding why I don't know, maybe I develop a jealous spirit or I'm envy of them. And I was like, well, what you have to understand is, I told her about my mentor, Marcus. I remember when I first met Marcus and I saw Marcus, how he was moving and stuff like that in finance. And I was like, okay, if he know it, I know it. Success has no respect to person. So if I learn the information, it's just about getting out here doing it. But what I didn't understand, that boy had been grinding for years. He was
Right.
like the Chinese
Right.
bamboo tree. He had been watering and he had been fertilizing his dream for years. And now it was like within a year, he went from a couple of 100,000 a month to now over 8 point some million a month now. And I told her, I said, I feel like a lot of times we prematurely judge people in their situations. You don't know where that person is. I said, that person that you're seeing that's being blessed and you're feeling a little jealous, I said, you have to change your perception of it. I said, number one, you have to understand that it came from somewhere. All right. And now you have to understand what happened in your life, what type of trauma happened in your life that made you feel envious of others, that made you feel like that you had to be jealous of somebody. Where did you feel like you were shortchanged and you didn't get something, that you don't have the patience to wait for what you prayed for? And so it allowed her to take a step back and like, okay, then I need let me go inward and let me look at it. But we prematurely, I said this, we prematurely judge situations. You never know where somebody is on that journey. And if you see a person in the open that's getting blessed, regardless, that's their journey. It's their journey. We all have our own.
Right.
I like that.
And if it's not your time, it's just not your time. And you know, we all, and even in saying it, when we're saying it's not your time, right? We all know, everybody that has a success story, even when you talk about your success right now, you had what? Hard times.
Bro, I was living on the floor of my
Everybody.
office. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we know that success does not come without hard times. Matter of fact, they live in the same community. Sometimes they barbecue and your ass is what's on the grill.
Right, exactly.
But we have to understand that you're in the fire to purge out all negative things.
And the purge is the best part.
And it's the best part. We don't understand that, but
We
it's
don't
the
like
best
it when
part.
it
Yeah,
happens.
while it's happening, yeah.
But when you look past it, the worst is usually the best.
It is.
Right.
And
It is.
It's so funny. I literally was talking about this today with my team, and I was preaching. You know, like some of you guys think some people like had an overnight success, and it's like no. You just weren't paying attention when they weren't successful.
When they weren't successful.
And I go,
Right.
what happens on every overnight success is it took a long time to happen so fast. Right? Like you.
It
put the
took a
work in,
long
you-
time to happen so fast.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
Like you work, and all of a sudden it happens. Everybody's like, yeah, how do you da da da? It's like,
Yeah, how'd you do this?
so you didn't see me sleeping on the floor, dog.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you
like
missed
I,
all of that.
I just wasn't, I wasn't talking and complaining, but like, I would put in the work, and I was,
Yeah.
I was first in, last out for
Right.
years and years and years and years, and then it's like, oh,
Right.
And see, but
know-
see that's why these type of vehicles are important. These podcasts,
Speak on it.
and people speaking and telling their stories, because I think like
Giving
a
people
lot of
hope.
times, because things that can't be said on YouTube, that can't be said on this station. All right, the group that the tribe that you're called to lead, they might want it a little raw.
right.
And everybody's gift is tweaked just a little different, so that we can reach these people and let them know. Because I think when we get so formal with how we're doing things and telling our stories, the gutter part gets left out.
Especially in
best
today's
part.
culture.
Yeah.
Especially in
today's
culture. Yeah.
because everybody wants to know that we live with this microwave society. We want to think that it happens quick.
Right.
I remember when I first started this whole journey, this whole spiritual journey, and it was almost 2 years ago. And I kept looking back, and I kept listening to different readers, and I kept talking to different shamans. They were like, yeah, I'm telling you, in about 2 years, 2.5 years, man, you're going to see the best of it. At that time, I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. I don't want no damn 2 years. What about now?
What about tomorrow?
Because
What
2
about
years,
yesterday?
and I'm like, 2 years is too long. But then
Right.
I sit back and I look at the whole process now. I'm proud of that 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Being your most proud
I-
2 years.
Steve Harvey has a motivational speech, and he was like, in the middle of the speech, he said, a lot of times you sit back and you be like, well, source, where God, what universe, why did you do me like this? You didn't have to do me like this. Had you just told me and just showed me a little bit, I would have done it. No, you wouldn't have.
I wish that was true for me.
I
I
wish
know.
it-
I know. I need to get slapped around by God.
Yeah.
Like I know it.
Like in my
There's no
situation
other
where I
way.
was,
Yeah.
had that day, had my Achilles not torn,
Oh, yeah,
I'd have been back over there. I'd
Right.
have still been in my same situation. Had
Right.
it not torn.
Right.
Had things.
What was your
not
situation?
happened. Well, my spiritual journey started like I said a prayer. 2020, I said a prayer, and now I'm learning that man has to really, really understand the energy and the intentions he puts on his prayer. Because if you put the right energy and intention on it, true energy, it's gonna happen. And I had just bought my motivate, which was crazy. So my prayer was, at the time I was doing good in finance. I had about 35, 40 people that would show up at my house. We were doing loans, financial consulting for people, credit repair, leveraging credit, investment, Bitcoin, Ethereum, helium, things like that. But not knowing and understanding that the people that were around me weren't for me. They were only there for what I could get them. And in that, just learning how everything fell apart. So in it, went through a divorce, tore my Achilles 8 weeks out from getting ready to compete, and then lost my mom to COVID, all within a 6-week span. I woke up one morning and just looked around and saw reciprocity just wasn't in effect in my marriage. Had been married for 15 years, faithfully married for 15 years, and how people viewed me in my home as a father, as a husband, was, as a real stand-up guy, but wasn't happy. I was seriously craving love on another level, and I kept seeing this love in my dreams and stuff like that, not knowing that the person I was with was not. I was begging a person to give me something that they, at the time, what life had dealt them, they weren't ready to give. And you're talking about two people meeting from an unhealed standpoint. You have to, now on this side of the hill, you can understand why it went how it went. But going through all that, I found myself at home, like just seeing how my kids were being stripped away from me and stuff. I was to the point I was about to blow my brains out, literally. And in that, the first time I attempted that, I saw my screen lit up, and it was me and my son. And every phone I have, I put my son. Like, I never wanted anything badder than I wanted a son. I got 4 girls, and my son was the last one. And when he was born, he was only breathing on his own for like 43 seconds. So it was a lot he went through, but yet he's here. So in there, when I saw his picture, it was like Spirit was like, that boy watches everything you do.
Right.
So you gotta understand, this invokes something totally different if you decide to do this. So in that moment, I immediately stepped back. On the journey through everything, I found my strength in my pain. I found, like, I kept having this dream about different situations represented by people beating me down, stomping me. Like, coming from the hood, you get into a fight, you ever fall on the ground, they stomp you out.
I fought a gang once to help my buddy, and nobody else got out of the car but me. Yeah, no time about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So in that,
Talk about a humbling experience.
I kept seeing.
That didn't even humble me.
as I kept looking up, I kept seeing the whole, and in the dream, I kept having this dream over and over. And like when you're seeing a dream of you getting beat or something like that going wrong, you want to wake up as quick as possible.
Right.
But the revelation is on the other side of the dream if you ever get to the end.
They say bad dreams have the best messages.
They do, and this one was a hell of a bad one. And so in it, I'm just seeing all these situations beating me down. But as I remember talking to Shaman Ra, which is a good friend of mine, Derek.
You told me about.
And so he told me, he was like, what you have to learn in healing, you have to allow the emotions to come to the surface. He said, if it's anger, he said, a lot of times in your healing process, that anger is bad. And so when anger comes up, you just want to get rid of it as quick as possible. And a lot of people, they just kind of block out their mind, and they just want to, like, okay, out of sight, out of mind, anger don't dwell here. No, it's going to take more than that to deal with it.
Right.
You have to allow it to surface. And so that was the problem, allowing the anger to surface. And as it surfaced, now you transmute it into wisdom, into light, into impact, into power.
Don't run from the pain.
Don't run from the pain. Yeah. And we always trying to control our thoughts.
I am here to tell you. We were just talking about, Carmen and I, we were watching something on Nikola Tesla. And so bottom line is, I was thinking about, when you're talking about water banks, I was thinking about the winds, because I was like, the construct of our business, we want to build it like an electrical generator or something. She's like, she said, what do you mean? I said, so we got all of this energy coming our way, wind, water, whatever, right? Then if you have the right generator, or the right base, or the right foundation, or the right structure to your company, you can
conduit or whatever.
You can take all of this energy and channel it into one specific area, whatever area you decide you want to channel it into. And that's what you were doing with your dreams. And you're talking about a revelation. All revelation means is a redefinition of the beginning. Yeah. So you got to let that emotion come on up, observe it, figure it out, put it in the generator, focus it.
And focus it. And now, now you just
I'm
took,
sitting here wide open. I'm like,
but
yes,
but peep
yes.
this, people listen, and even in what you just said. So now that type of energy, you just took the energy that was potential, okay, and that's us trying to control that energy, right? We're trying to control that energy, right?
Right.
All right. So, but the key is not to
Not to
control
control
it.
Not to control
all right?
it.
Let it flow.
We're trying to make that energy kinetic. You're trying, and in kinetic energy, when you have a generator,
What's the
if-
term for potential energy? Latent.
Potential energy. Potential energy is simply something that
Look,
has that
it's like
has the
latent
potential to
energy.
be latent, energy, but you don't necessarily know what the power is, but it has power
No,
to
it has
build.
it. Yeah, it got something in there.
But kinetic energy
when it's
is
moving.
if this says this is 5,000 watts, we know we got 5,000 watts right here, right?
Okay.
So we're trying to turn something that's potential into something that's kinetic. And see, with our thoughts and energy, it was never necessarily meant to be controlled like that.
Right.
All right. So
Right.
allow it to flow. But now, once we channel it, okay, yeah, that's kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Because we're channeling it to that particular area in our life that we focusing on. And like you said, now once you channel it, now you direct that energy right there. So the difference between the kinetic and the potential.
Speak on it, Chris.
Yeah.
Speak on it. I told you.
I like that.
Yeah. I was just thinking. I was like, this is a great episode.
Because the thing about Chris, man, is when you see it. I pass by Chris for weeks in the neighborhood. I'll be on my bike, come home, do
For
whatever.
those of you guys that can't see Chris, he's like
Oh.
6'4".
What are you, 6'5"?
6'5".
Yeah, now 253.
Oh,
now.
yeah, he's down to 253.
Yeah, but I was bigger. I was over 400 pounds when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
He's a
riding
big
by
dude.
him. I'm riding by Chris, and we speak, but we never really talk. Mm-hmm. And so one day at Crunch, finally talked to him, and for a man of that
I
sheer
can just
size,
picture you two fucking monsters at the gym. People being
then-
like, "Oh
you got to
god."
see his buddy work out
And then
with.
Jock was
Yeah.
standing there with us. All right,
Yeah.
so hold on. I think this is all us. I said, wait, no more. So that's Jock. That's my trainer.
Yeah, that's
So that's the
Jock.
one that transformed
Right.
me. He the one
Right.
transformed me from 430 pounds to what I am now.
So
I'm trying to.
so to look at him, and then you begin talking, and then I could actually feel him. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? Like kind of like when you and I first met.
Yeah, yeah,
I could
exactly.
feel him.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, Chris, I got something for you. You
Yeah,
got
yeah.
to come over here.
Yeah.
And little did I know he had something for me.
So there you go, right there. That was me.
Okay.
Big church boy, talking about fasting and praying, but
Yeah.
I was one fasting, but eating fast though.
Exactly.
So, one turning down a meal, man. But when Jock came up here, he was like, "Bro, we got to get that off you." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got to." He was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry." But when he put the meal plan together, and
What do you
everything,
eat?
Right now, I kind of eat what I want, but
What did you eat to get?
to get there, okay. So he did my meal plan based on my blood type, and so in the blood,
Based on your blood type.
yeah, the blood tells you everything. It'll tell
No
you
shit.
what
What's
you
your blood
can.
type?
I don't remember my blood type. You gotta be on that one. But
It's all right.
but
I don't know mine either. I was
Yeah.
just curious, like.
But once they broke it down to my blood type, it told me what meats that my body would
Oh,
process.
because some people don't need meat. Some
Yeah.
people need meat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
and
My body needs meat. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Oh,
And so
I'm like meat dependent.
Yeah, but in that once he broke it down to like what I could consume and couldn't consume, what meats were good for me, what fats were good. My first month just following everything with water, cardio, and training, 43 pounds. 43 pounds in 1 month. The month after that, it was 29 pounds.
Yeah, that's right.
And after that first month, I lost enough weight to be like, oh yeah, we can do this.
Right, because
do
if that
this.
43
Smelt the
was
success.
realistically, 43 was probably realistically like 70, but there's probably some
Yeah.
muscle mass put back.
Yeah, yeah. So after that, man, I took it and ran with it, and been in the gym ever since, man. Like it's literally my sanctuary. It's
We've now touched on the 3 life hacks I give to my agents: wake up early, read books, exercise,
exercise,
and then
Got to.
I throw like 2 others in there. It's write goals,
Definitely.
excuse me, and move out of your hometown at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those are the life hacks I give everybody. I'm like, if you want to accelerate your life, you do these things. In 5 years, your life is going to be, like, I don't even know how many times different, but just you will. Those things, read books,
yeah.
like
Totally
exercise.
different.
Well, I feel like fitness. I think I tell people all the time, fitness will literally put you in touch with your demons.
Oh, yeah.
and I mean immediately. Mm-hmm. See, like if you're the type of person that you say, like, well, when life throws
What
me
do you
this,
mean by that?
So what I mean by that is if you're the type of person that said, well, when life throws me this, then I react like this. When hard times come, then I'm gonna hang in there. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. No matter what, I won't give up.
It gives you the stay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I'm here to
That's
tell
100%.
you. Yeah, rep 13 of set 5 will tell you who you are.
Or better yet,
are you a quitter?
Mile 26 on the marathon.
Plank position.
Exactly.
Plank position.
Oh man,
3 minutes.
Yeah,
you'll know exactly who you are. I remember we did a conference. It was a Christian conference for our church, and we did it called Fitness and Faith. And I got a chance to do the the faith part, right? And so I asked a bunch of these well-known pastors that was there. A lot of the pastors that was in like the Eagle Nest, like Eddie Long, Creflo Dollar, like a lot of these big name pastors. I'm like, okay, so you feel like you have a relationship with God to the point where no matter what you ask for, He'll show up and help you, right? And they're like, yeah, come on, you know how church people are. Yeah, anything. It don't matter what it is. It don't matter how small. It don't matter how big. It don't matter if it's Alpha or Omega. He gonna help me, brother. Okay, let's get in plain position. I want to help you understand your relationship. I want to what's his name? James Allen. As a Man Thinketh.
Great book.
Great book. Very, very small book.
Quick read,
but very complex.
I just reread it again last month. I read it every year.
Really?
I've been committing to rereading that book, rereading at least a chapter out of that book every day until the end of this year. I read the book 13 times so far.
Okay.
But in my copy of that book, I got it in the car. I have so many notes in it, but I'm learning something different every time I read that book.
As well you should be.
But he says, James Allen says, circumstances and situations never turn you into the person that you are. They are simply the vehicle that exposes exactly who and what you are.
Exactly.
So when pressure comes on a pipe, it's only exposing what the pipe is. When life happens, it's only exposing what the man or the woman is. If you just so happen to be weak in this area, that's fine. Life just exposed that you were weak in spirituality. So what do? It's just like the gym. Faith is a muscle. Work it. Train it.
There you go.
So in that area that you've been exposed that you're weak in, now work on it. Oftentimes, a lot of people just take that into themselves and they self-sabotage.
Oh my God! It's the most common thing. I tell you that from being a business leader. When the time I lose my agents the most is when they're doing well, not when they're doing bad.
Right.
I mean, what'll happen is they'll do well and then they'll disappear and then they'll start doing bad and they'll blame it on that.
Right. Exactly.
But it stems from they'll have a $4,000 week or they'll have a $6,000 week or they'll have whatever, right?
Right.
And then they'll party, which is cool. You all do the same shit. But then they don't show up for a couple days and a couple days, and then all of a sudden now they're inconsistent, and now the leads are bad. I'm like, dog, it's the same leads. You were working the same, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But what did they do? They broke the connect of that level of connection.
Right.
And so you were going good. You were on a wavelength. You were doing different rituals at that time.
Right.
Now you stepped off and started partying and celebrating all the money that you're making. So you kind of broke that connection.
Right.
Now you have to regain that connection in order to get back on that frequency or go for another one.
You know what, man? We are having the same conversation in different areas, and I think it's powerful for whoever is going to watch and or listen. Bottom line, least common denominator. Just like working out, you get to working out, you lose the weight, you're looking good, then you start kind of falling off a little bit, yada yada, blah 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 blah. And the trick of everything in per the world of me now, nothing I've read, is you want to get away from this, the bipolar stuff, and get more to this, which would actually be a higher vibration.
Anyway. There's more harmony in the frequency.
Right.
When it's too up and down, there's no song.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still tuning in. Another thing too is self-sabotage is so common. It's Sandler something is the name of this guy that teaches this like sales technique or whatever. These guys and tried selling it to me, but the only thing I really got out of it, to be completely honest, not knock, like the actual Sandler thing works. Just the consultant that they were trying to sell me this thing just weren't good. And I was like, you're going to be a business coach. You can't sell me like on this. And you're supposed to be a sales coach. Come on, dog.
Yeah, salesperson, easiest person.
But either way, right, he gave this good example. And it was most people will hate the job they're doing and the amount of money they get, they say is not sustainable enough. And most of them won't look to leave their job. And if they do, they're going to look for a job in the same field making about the exact same money.
Same amount, yeah.
And it's like the truest thing you'll ever hear. Right, like it's so funny because you talk to friends, they're like, bitching, whatever.
Doing the same thing.
If they ever go to look for a new job, it's gonna be basically the exact same salary, basically doing the exact same thing.
So, but why do you think that is?
It's because it's a thing of self-worth that either they built into themselves, or they've allowed the outside world to build into themselves, and then they're afraid of the uncertainty, and they're afraid of failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're afraid of success, they're afraid of failing. Like same thing. It's two sides of the same coin, right?
Right.
Like the same shit. So my view on that, and I think my success is, like when you're saying, like, you know, when life shows you, it shows you who you are. Like, I was really thinking, like, I'm kind of proud of myself because, like, I am at my calmest and my sense of humor is best when everything's falling on me.
Everything's falling on you.
Right.
And I'm literally like, I'm like a rider in the storm.
Yeah.
But like when things are good, it's usually when I sabotage. It was like,
But I'm gonna tell you, I heard I forget what is his name, something Hollis. Is it the motivational speaker James Hollis?
I've heard that name.
Very he never writes a speech out, does everything on top of the head.
Really?
Young dude, he went into a school where he was from, and they hired him to speak. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go in here and speak, but after this, I'm going to go ahead and commit suicide. And he said, I'm going to do it because I want them to remember me. And when he walked out, they were cheering so loud that he turned back around and went back in there, and life totally changed for him.
Wow.
He only wanted to manifest the fact of when he speak, he gets paid and he's able to eat. That's all he wanted to manifest. So they called him back in there and they paid him. So immediately he was like, even though he was emotionally distraught and he was going to go kill himself, he was like, hold on, I wanted to manifest the fact that I would speak, I would get paid, and I would be able to eat.
Mm-hmm.
They just paid me. I just manifested that. Why am I going to kill myself?
No, what he
Now
did
that
there.
now that I'm able to manifest that, we have to say, and that's the thing about the small battles. We gotta start celebrating. We have so many small battles all day, every day. We never write them out. We never celebrate them. And the thing about it, like in life, I never celebrated things. Even if my wife wanted to throw me a party, I couldn't enjoy the party because I was in my mind of I gotta be security. I gotta be man. Gotta provide. Man gotta protect. Man gotta procreate. And you're so locked in and so programmed to think about that and other things than enjoying the moment.
Bruh.
Than enjoying the moment.
What he said and what you're saying, especially about Hollis, it's about the belief in yourself. You start forming that chakra between
that
14
belief, yeah.
and 20 years old. That's one of the things I know that drew me to you, to where that we start. I could tell instantly that Luke had a strong belief in himself. Not saying that he was arrogant or nothing like that. I just like the fact that he had belief in who he is as a person.
But in the
Same
wrong
with
energy,
you, though.
in the wrong energy, people will take it as
Yeah,
arrogance.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
exactly.
there happens to be
But that's the exact same with you. Once, especially when we reconnected and we standing there in front of everybody having that conversation. I know it was like the flies attracting to the light type of thing. And when we finished that conversation, me and Carmen looked at each other like, wow, because we had conversations about we finna meet somebody, wow. Little did we know it was right dead slap in the middle of the gym.
And the crazy thing is how even now, since I came and did the sound bath and chakra clearing with you guys,
man, yeah.
like
You
the
gotta come do that.
financial opportunities that have come my
Yeah, you
way.
were telling me about it, yeah.
Like seriously, life will be totally different in 45 days. And I'm talking about on a level that nobody in my family has ever been able to obtain.
Yeah. I told you, man,
now
I'm proud of you.
taking that same thing and, like I told you, to your tribe and teaching them, you know, and then like something. A lot of times, some of the moves that we're making, when Source makes the provision for them, some things have to be done in a way where it's not necessarily done to the masses. Everything that's done on the masses is through manipulation. When you're talking about social media and all this stuff, all of it is just to manipulate people into living in the fear and not awakening to their true selves of who they actually are. All right? So when you're actually doing some of the stuff that we're doing, trying to get them to see, trying to deposit light in the darkness and stuff like that, it gets a little difficult, but you got that one person that's out there listening.
Right.
You got that one person that this podcast will hit, and they be like, okay, they said X, Y, and Z, and it's going to automatically awaken something in them.
Exactly.
You know, we wanted to hit the masses so bad, but as long as we doing one by one, that's our masses.
One step at a time.
That one person, that's our masses. You know, and then everything, like I said, the key is to deposit good. So if we're aware and we're listening, you can't come around me and your energy be low.
You end up sick.
My energy won't allow it.
Yeah, you end up sick.
We
or worse.
if we are the lights, If you're a light and you're sitting in the room, how can darkness possibly come in there? It's no way possible.
Can't work.
It don't
Cannot work.
It don't work, right?
One little match.
One little match. Yeah, light a whole room. Darkness can't come in. So
that's super interesting. But I'm thinking right now too. I mean, that was the point of I've talked about a couple times in the show, like how the show got kind of manifested, and I saw the show coming, and I felt it coming, and all that.
I remember you talking about it.
But it was wild. Like the 2 different points, like a free game and all this other shit. And I was told, like, in a meditation, like, it's not time for it to get big yet. It has to have a certain amount of episodes so that when it does, and again, I'm not even doing this for any financial gain. I mean, I hope to not lose money, but any financial gain, I mean, if it comes, so, like, cool.
Right.
You know, bring it in. But, like,
yeah.
At the same time, it was just to bring about reasonable, open conversations, right? So, like, in the echo chamber of social media, in the way schools are taught, where things are right or wrong, and it is or it isn't, and then people find out that they're taught incorrect history, and then it makes them mad because they were taught that it was right or wrong, instead of like there's degrees of everything, right? This was the concept to give them like I love Joe Rogan, right? Because I think he's open-minded and he allows people to express their opinions.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
And it's like, and I think that he's one of the healthiest things for America, whether you agree with him or not, because he has open conversations with just the widest variety of guests.
Right.
He does.
Right?
He does.
And it's like more of that is just good for the atmosphere and for people.
Exactly, especially if you're enclosed. Just like you were saying, move outside of your zip code.
Right.
You know, or at least visit outside of your zip code so that you can understand, you know, the puzzle that you're a part of.
Right.
Yeah.
So I generally I just hope this reaches as many people as possible. We had a physicist on here one time, and amongst other things, it was really interesting. He decided he works for, I forget what university. He didn't want to say, because he agreed with a lot of my controversial views, I guess you could call it. And he was explaining why I'm able to manifest so much and all that. But what he was saying was, what was it? He listened, or he looked up the stats, and we had like the longest listening time per listener. Mike's nodding back there, but it was like, he goes, I wasn't sure I was going to do this, and I listened to your thing. He goes, you guys curse a lot, but then I was like, but they're really rational thinkers. They're very reasonable. And he goes, so as much as I didn't necessarily like the cursing, he was like, I listened to each of the episodes, and I was like, wow, these guys are actually like da da da. He goes, so I decided to do it, and then I decided, well, maybe we'll see if it's even worth it. And I looked, and I don't even know how to do it. He's the one that showed me my stats. And then Mike pulled the stats, and we had like 130,000 downloads, which blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, when you told me that,
And
I was
then-
like, what?
And we had like some of the longest listening time per listener, which also blew my mind. And it was really cool.
I'm not surprised at that.
It was just really cool because it was like, obviously we're not Joe Rogan or like some of these other guys, at least not yet, right? But it was people that are listening are obviously engaged in the conversations because they're listening for longer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's what I'm saying. I'm
you-
not surprised.
You're giving them what they want to hear.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
what
do
they need.
clickbait.
That they need to hear.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to do clickbait, none of that. I'm trying to have like real, like, hey, let's get to the bottom of this.
Right.
Like, and even when we get to the bottom of it, let's figure out how you got to where you got to. Right. So
Exactly. Everybody's story is going to give you a little bit of
A
hope.
little bit of hope. Yeah.
So that, yeah, I guess that's the thing is hope would be like the goal of free game,
Yeah.
right? It would be how do you free somebody, give them hope.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
Spark
just
talk.
like he said, hope sparks everything. When you start to reading expands your
Right.
mind, and when it expands your mind, it's giving you hope that you can maybe expand into that. Then you take a look at your situation and you start to tear down walls, especially when you start to come into good information.
Yeah. Like, I love the way you're rereading that book.
Yeah,
And
because
so all you're doing is with your new knowledge. Because if you look at life, it's just a culmination of experiences and your perception of those experiences. Every time you go back and read it, you're reading the same words, but it's meaning something different.
and the key word that you just said is perception.
Right.
So, depending on how we grow, our perception will be different every day. If we're in a consistent ascension, then your perception should be different on everything every day anyway, because you're constantly looking to learn. You're constantly looking to grow.
Right.
So that means tomorrow I shouldn't be where I was yesterday.
Right.
Because we're constantly, the
Right.
perception, you're always, and see, now it's all about your level of awareness now. Are you aware that you're constantly ascending and constantly growing? Or do you even have that hunger to consistently ascend and grow. Because if you are, then that means your perception is changing every day.
Right, exactly.
You have to see things differently every single day.
Right.
And now, like you said, that means you have to be in the now, the moment. You don't worry about tomorrow.
Right.
You only worried about the moment. So if we're living only in the moment, now we're not thinking about the destination. We're only focused on what? The journey.
The journey.
Which is the key to the whole thing in the first place.
Y'all feeding me today, Jack.
Man, I think we're feeding each other, man.
Yeah, I think everybody's feeding each other here. And to use another Jay-Z quote, like the sixth one I've used today, you don't work that hard to stay the same.
No, that's crazy.
Exactly.
I just saw that interview.
Dude, he watches interviews, bro. If you haven't watched his interviews, Jay-Z's so wise.
If you look at,
he's my favorite person
you watch his
the
interviews from the past, and you look at the interviews of Dame Dash and Rockefeller and all them, you could see when he started to ascend. And in one of the interviews, he's just looking at them, how they talking and stuff like, yeah, I'm about to leave y'all ass behind.
Yeah. It's literally like he went past him. Like Dame Dash, in my opinion, I'm not even gonna talk shit, but like I'm not a huge fan of him in interviews. Jay-Z, man, like I don't know if I saw any interviews from him back when he was completely with Rockefeller, but like I think the first one I saw with him was on Bill Maher. Bill Maher would try to set him up with like some of those like catch you questions and like before he'd answer, take a second and give like the wittiest, like kind of funny but super wise answer at the same time.
Right.
And then Bloomberg, I lived in New York then, Bloomberg did a show called Game Changers, and like did this one on Jay-Z, and I was like, this dude is just brilliant. And then I started looking up all his different interviews, and it was like he was always so wise and like truthful. Like he doesn't say anything that's a lie. Like he might word things in like a way.
Yeah.
Right. Slick with it.
Like this one time, like Bill Maher, like because Jay-Z was talking about how he liked Sinatra, and then Bill Maher goes, yeah, but you're real, and those guys weren't. You know, they were talking about, you know, luck be a lady 3 times, and then they were having like a threesome or something like that, right? And then Jay-Z goes, so the dude was telling the truth. Like, you know, like
he was telling the truth,
yeah. He was like, maybe you don't like the way he did it, but he was, you know, like whatever. But yeah, so I'm super fascinated by him. And then I think a dope way, because we're basically at our time, it flew by. But
I told you this was going to happen.
So Jay-Z has this awesome quote again in Black is King. And it's when the kid kind of starts realizing his power. And he goes, how could I say I believe in God and say I'm a child of God and not say that God's in me? That doesn't make any sense. Right?
That's real.
At all.
And it's weird because I would offend people in the church if I was like, hey, you know, like God's within me. And they were like, no, like, you know, and I'd be like, but I believe in God, and I'm a child of God. So like, how could he not be?
And God is in the church, and the church is in me.
And if God's in me, and I'm a child of God, like, shouldn't I be able to talk to my parents?
Exactly.
Like, why do I got to talk to you?
Yeah.
Like I got no problem talking to you, but like
back to source.
Back to
your
source.
phrase.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to connect it with that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. But it all goes back to source. And when we talk about, you know, you're saying why are Christians so on, you know, pushing back?
I think it's fear.
It is.
I think even with good intentions,
it is.
Like, because again, like I'm thinking, some dude said, like, and that's not because hopefully they listen. I think they were like honestly trying to help me, right? From their level of understanding.
From their level, level of understanding.
And you know, not trying to be a dick, but I think for some people that's great, and PG-13 movies are necessary. And some people can go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Right? And like, and you know, like again, like ayahuasca taught me, like, stay in your lane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people got different lanes. Like,
Right,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't try to control others. Or, But my biggest thing is don't try to control me.
You can only drive one car at a time.
You can't. You can only drive one at a time. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So I think that's a wrap, boys.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. So, well, you know, thanks again for listening to Free Game. You know, we're gonna be more consistent. Rock's gonna be handling basically a lot of the other stuff that I just was not. And then, as always, thanks to Business Radio X, Mike, his son Connor, you know, helping us out, and thanks so much to Chris. And
Most definitely.
Guys, check out Level Up Financial Consultants. Check them out. Can you work outside of the state too?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, so what's the best way for them to contact you?
IG. IG is going to be your easiest way to get me. I get so much work through IG. I stalk IG more than I do my
What is your tag?
It's Mr. Level Up, MR__LEVEL__UP.
Okay.
There you have it.
So MR __level LEVEL _ UP.
So if you're looking for any type of credit game, anything like that, spirituality, hit me. I'm an open book. Workouts, all of it. Meal plans, in and every way, man.
All right, guys. Just another episode of Free Game, unrestricted conversation.
There you go.
You never know where it's going to go. Spirituality and psychedelics always come up, though.
That's good.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.